No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today I'm in here with two comedic geniuses, and you better live up to that title on this episode.
Yeah.
Ryan Long and JJ Liberman in the building.
No, we're pure cool today, dude. I'm trying to fucking fit in. I'm all cool as shit.
So you don't
no
wanna,
jokes.
try too hard all day? That's
Yeah,
cool.
no
like
trying.
that.
I'm getting sunglasses. I'm letting people know that I fit into the No Jumper community.
Right.
And then also JJ's about to get naked and start. Dude, he bought a fleshlight and he's because he's like, yeah, I heard you guys have people on the podcast, and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, well, hot chicks.
We definitely got to talk about the fleshlight thing.
I'll do a Patreon for what is it? You want me as an OnlyFans? One of the fleshlights, the clear one?
Do you think they'd pay for that to see an old man?
You want to see a 41-year-old dude who won't be in a fleshlight?
Okay. That is a good point, though. You raise a good point. Is that now that I'm a porn director and we have this platform going and everything, it's kind of like, well, how far do you want to go outside of that? Like, because I interview rappers, but then I'll interview a comedian, a YouTuber, a porn star, etc. It's like we consistently are dropping new content with girls. It's like at some point, should we interview some gay dudes and then have them bang each other afterwards?
You got to get some wild people on here. Like, you got to get
I don't
like.
think we want to like alienate that part of like.
Now you want to get like Jim from The Office
to do gay porn.
off on your couch.
Imagine that was an episode of The Office.
Yeah, BJ Novak himself.
Dude, imagine Jim gets caught. He had like a gay porn career in college, and that comes out in an episode, and Dwight is like shaming him for his
that'd be
indiscretions.
great.
I like that.
You know what? So so people don't know JJ is gay. He's like on my. So we're from Toronto, Canada. And
You're
he's
gay?
Well,
Jason,
I mean,
because you guys
no
know each
idea.
other from poker, right?
Yeah, well, I guess, sure.
So JJ,
Social media, sure.
yeah, JJ's like in Toronto. He came out of the closet. And he's like this gay dude, but the gay community want nothing to do with them.
Hates me.
Because he doesn't fit into the thing. They go, he's the only guy that makes being gay homophobic.
So I wasn't gay. I just fucked a lot of guys until my 30s. So
Really?
it's not gay. I'm sure a lot of people think
He's like,
that's-
I'm not gay. You're fucking gay.
I was gay, but I'm not gay anymore. Wait a minute.
You're the one with the dick in your mouth. I'm fucking straight.
I love pussy, and I used to love ass pussy.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened, though? You just fucking fell out of love with man ass?
He went back in the closet.
Wow.
I went, yeah,
I couldn't handle it. The world's not friendly enough
Know
to
what
gay people
happened?
these days.
No,
I
it
don't
was too
know.
friendly. He thought he was gay when it was like a degenerate.
You
You
were
go into
just
the
like a rebel?
clubs. Yeah, when it was
You're
and
just
now
acting out.
now they're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, ooh, look at a gay guy. Like, you got to be very sensitive to them. They're a soft bunch.
But
and then JJ's like, this is no fun anymore.
They hate the fact that, so most of my life I lived in the closet.
Right.
And then I started fucking chicks when I started doing comedy. I was around these fucking savages all the time, and I heard such great pussy
He's
stories.
like, hey, what's this like chick thing you've been fucking?
Right. Wait, so
is that fun?
But
do you recommend that?
Wait a minute. You dated women and then you...
No,
you-
no lie, dude. My whole life, I literally just fucked dudes on the DL.
And he was a baseball player too.
totally,
sick. Hell yeah.
totally in the yeah,
so
sick
sick.
life, right? Like
mean, that's
sick
cool,
life.
yeah.
Yeah,
I never met anyone who
cool
lived that
dude,
life.
cool
Just
dude, right?
a cool bro.
Just a cool bro sucking dick on the DL. But I used to like strip in Washington D.C. in gay clubs, and I was totally in the
They
closet.
paid him to keep it on now, huh? Here's $200. Stay the fuck away from my lap, dude.
It's true, and that's part of the problem too. But I always had like this attraction to women, but I've just found it so much harder to get women until it's so much harder.
You were just fucking dudes because it was easy.
Easy hole.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you're right. I've always thought about that. Like the
Yeah.
one or two times I have been in a gay bar or club, it's like it's in the air that like, oh, everyone kind of wants to fuck each other. Like they might have
Everyone's
a few
smashing.
people on their no list out there, but for the most part, like these people really all want to fuck.
You know what else is also in the air? AIDS.
Yeah. You ever get that?
No, but mentally.
Next time someone asks, don't give such a big pause.
Good to think about it for a while. Did it?
You know what? That
I get
maybe.
AIDS?
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
That's the bad one? I don't think.
So what was that like when you finally decided to dip into the world of women?
I mean,
He's fucking a pussy. He goes, yo, this is way better than all that dude ass I've been fucking.
No, I mean, I love put like Ryan. Like, isn't pussy amazing?
It's I've had
Yo,
nothing but
honestly,
pussy in my
boys,
life.
I want to speak on behalf of the three of us. Pussy's sick.
I can't compare pussy to man ass, but I can compare pussy to like not getting any pussy,
Yeah.
which is pretty shitty in comparison.
JJ used to, he was the OG. Do you remember, no, like, everyone's on the apps right now. JJ used to use an app called gay.com.
Gay.com.
And then he used to call in and dudes, so back in the day, when it was like taboo to be gay, there would be these hotlines you'd call in. I've heard, I don't know, but I know. But you call in and you go, hey, I'm like, 6'3", fucking, this is my dick size, this is my race.
Right.
And then other guys would call in and be like, hey, I liked what you had. And he said that there was like this Indian dude that like flipped out on him.
Flipped out. He's like, dude, he would get so mad because he was like, I can't do the accent. Like,
Yeah, you don't have to.
I don't. Okay, that would be like bad. Like if we haven't alienated enough.
But what
people,
happened? Like he would call you and be like, "Yo, you white guys never
he's
want
like,
to fuck Indian guys."
You fucking white people, you pieces
Yeah.
of shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good point, though. Is that like we are really appealing to our like hip hop fan audience by talking about being gay for the first 10 minutes of this podcast?
I know, dude.
They
yeah.
love that.
Can we put this at
Well,
the
that's the
end?
thing. We bring him on shows, so
Yeah.
JJ comes and opens on shows,
No, we're gonna just challenge them.
And
We're gonna
people-
challenge them to be down with the gayness.
and people in the crowd are legit like. People legit are like, "Yo, none of that homo shit," and then. They'll see JJ, dude. He does urban shows too, and it's like all black guys
really?
being like, "Yo, what the
They fuck with you?
sometimes."
Dude.
You should go and
Sometimes
throw it
they
Ha Ha
really
Davis or
don't,
something.
though.
It's,
Yeah.
This is the problem.
85 South Show
Put
featuring
JJ on,
JJ Lieberman.
Put him on the Michael Blackson tour.
Yeah, hit the Chitlin circuit. Yeah,
So a lot of the guys who book the shows
are
like,
also on the gay apps.
possibly.
Right. Okay,
But they
maybe.
like putting me on the shows just so the crowds but I'm uncomfortable. It's like I don't want to like ruffle feathers, but even with Ryan's fans, they're like, "What the fuck's this guy talking about?"
The one guy that in our comments the other day, there was like a big thread of
Right.
people being like, "Yo, who was that pervert that opened for?" And then the other guy was like, "Was he like 40 and fucking
Right.
bald?" And then there's like a 80 thread about like our fans bonding, like
Wow.
not liking him.
Because you have like Ben Shapiro's fan base basically now.
You
so
do.
They hear
No,
you.
I don't. You do.
So they see this guy and they're like, "Geez, this is not what I signed up for."
No, we got a lot. Well, we got a lot of everything, right?
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
But the bro, I feel like the bros like JJ,
Right.
Just
But
the
that's
dogs
it.
that came through to have some pops and get tuned up.
But that's your fan base. There's like a lot of bros.
A lot of that.
I
There's a
prefer
lot
an
of everything.
audience
A lot of
with no
punk
moral
dudes.
compass who isn't going to be offended
Me
by any
too.
of the sort of degeneracy that JJ might be bringing
Well,
to the
you know
table.
what? That's why you're interesting because you must get it. I mean, everyone deals with everyone trying to kick you off media and everything, right? But you get it on both because you're saying wild shit. You're having people on here that say wild shit, and then on top of that, the porn stuff is like they're on the same hustle of like, all right, I guess we're off Instagram now.
Right.
We're like my boy just got his YouTube taken down for a bit because he had a girl's OnlyFans in the title.
Really?
Yeah, like all the OnlyFans chicks and comedians are on the same like.
Oh wow! I, never
Oh, I
thought
guess
about
we're
that.
on this platform now. Like you're always running around.
Wow, that's great. You know what the secret to like rap media though is that like there are no woke people, and at a certain point
No,
you
of
just
course.
figure that out. That like they kind of want to like trick you into thinking that hip hop is this like super like activist.
That's
community.
everything, yeah.
It's so not, and like like when you actually look at who are like the popular commentators in rap,
Yeah.
they're basically like a bunch of pigs. They're a bunch of men who have like big brash opinions and aren't really worried about offending anybody. That's who everybody gravitates towards. And there are there is that side of it. There's definitely like the poetry lounge version of rap, and I've had the
And there's profits to be made from like saying the narrative in a cool way.
totally. But a lot of it too is like they sort of like will take like unpopular opinions and kind of cloak it in the idea of being like pro-black. But if you actually were to like ask a lot of rap fans like what they actually think about a lot of that stuff, of
course,
they would just be like, no, that's crazy.
Well, that's why even with him with the gay stuff is the same thing. But that's that idea where they're like you can't say anything anymore. People are
Yeah.
too sensitive, and it's like, well, that's not the case. Like you
Right.
go to shows. and everyone actually loves it.
Right.
And then someone pretends to get mad after the fact.
Right.
So that's even the idea of like, oh, everyone's too sensitive. It's like, no, they're not too sensitive. It's like the people in the media hate you and they don't want you to be speaking.
And now when you're talking to like the everyman in rap circles,
average person,
you have such a good example to point
They
to
hate
with the
that
Dave
bullshit.
Chapelle thing, because you just say, look at what the media tried to do. The media tried to convince everybody that the Dave Chapelle thing was the most offensive thing in the world and that thousands of Netflix employees were going to walk out. And then it was like 20 people. It's the most popular comedy special,
It was
maybe
so
ever.
tame too.
It was
so tame.
He went so out of his way to not be offensive. The average person did not find it offensive. It's like a tiny. It's like
No one
it's
cares.
probably 1% or less.
And the ones that
of
say they do
Americans.
didn't find it offensive either. They
Right.
weren't mad. They were pumped. They're like, oh, good. We have another thing to pretend to get mad about.
Yeah, totally. But now, like when there's stuff like in rap where I'm kind of like seeing the media putting it out there that like, oh, look at this thing. This thing is so controversial. It's kind of cool because I can say to like the other like rap people I know, I was like, look at the Dave Chapelle thing. Like you are being lied to. Like this shit is not controversial. You don't have to like police your own language all the time. You don't have to worry about that. Nobody's gonna cancel you because nobody gives a fuck.
Well, especially on top of that, that's why it's like if you watch like old like Bill O'Reilly or someone like that, he's saying all the same stuff as them. Like, this is harmful, this is bad. He's saying just that about whatever the Christian people
mothers
thought before,
against
right?
Marilyn Manson.
But if you look at, because of that, people like you built this huge fan base. So the industry is just pretending they know what people want. But that happened in hip hop before, the same what's happening in a lot of things right now, whereas the industry was like, no, we don't want to do hip hop. We want to do rock and roll, what happened? Well, a lot of fucking rappers are billionaires now because they go, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So the same thing's happening in this thing where the industry's just missing the whole thing. Everyone's making their stuff and they go, no, people don't like that. And they do. So everyone's getting popular. And then they come up to you and they're like, hey, you want to be on the industry stuff? And you're like, yo, we're rich now. Like things have changed.
Right.
We this space that you missed, like we own it now.
Right.
So it kind of, that's what happens with all those, every counterculture that develops in response to the industry telling you what they think you like, then they don't own it anymore.
We see it in rap too because like, they're giving out all these awards and like all these like mainstream sort of award shows keep awarding Meg the Stallion to be the new rapper of the year last year.
Yeah,
or
they think
whatever.
they can taste make.
But then meanwhile, like every rap fan with a fucking pair of eyeballs who can see the numbers is like, she's not the biggest rapper of the year. Like Lil Baby is by far the biggest rapper to have come out during that time period that they're talking about. And they gave it to Meg the Stallion, even though she sells probably like 10 to 15% as many albums as him, because she fits their narrative that they're trying to put out there of like, oh, look, like women are taking over rap music. When in reality, when you actually look at rap music, gangster rap is bigger than ever. So many of the biggest rappers are like people who basically are like 100% gangsters. Like, and like they want you to be like convinced that like rap is all Lil Nas X now. And it's like, no, that's like a very fringe thing that does not really appeal to the hip hop base that much.
Well, also on top of that, the thing that makes people like countercultures and things like hip hop and comedy is the exact same way, where the people that are good aren't saying the stuff you're supposed to say. So the industry's going to rally around the person that says the stuff and says the message you're supposed to say. But anyone that's good, like, when you're doing stuff and everyone's just like, I already know this. Everyone knows you're saying stuff and everyone agrees with you. They already know. You go, you're not saying anything. Right. And everyone that really is into the culture of what that thing is, they know it's not good. They know what you're doing is not good.
They're just clapping. Well, I sent you that article from Vulture, or someone said like the top 20 comedians to watch. These people stink. All the clips suck. Nobody's fucking laughing. It's our whole industry.
They'll do articles, because I came from Canada, right? We from Toronto, and then there'll be articles about like, here's the top 10 best comics, and I'm like, dude, if all of those people got together and do a show, like it wouldn't do half the tickets of me, like in a week.
Right. It would suck.
And you're just like, what are you talking about?
No, that happened recently in like I think it was the BET Awards, and they have like the top 5 media outlets. And it's literally like, I mean, anyone who is honest,
like, I body these people.
Anyone who's honest would say that like the top 5 is going to look like Vlad TV, Academics, No Jumper, and then some other ones. Like there's other stuff that should be in there, but like those are 3 that are just like mega obvious, by far the biggest outlets in rap music on YouTube, etc. Not on the list. Not on the list. And then they have people on the list who are like blogs that like are looked upon well in the industry. that literally just repost content, that just like basically repost tweets and make blog posts out of it, and they're like fully on this list, and it's like, how fucking stupid do you think your audience is? And also, I just want to throw this in.
Some of them,
very stupid. They
some
think
of
you're
them
very
are so
stupid. But this is one thing I want to say too. This is a comment that we're going to see on this a lot, and I see it all the time. They're going to say, "Oh, just what the world needs: 3 white guys talking about rap music," and it's like. I think
I'm talking about comedy in the context
or,
of culture.
white,
or talking about black people, etc. But the reality is like that just blows my mind. Like we've come so far as like a culture and a society, and there will be people who like think that they're getting like points by like pointing out the race of the 3 people having a conversation. None of us is professing to be the end all like viewpoint of whatever the fuck we're talking about. We're just sharing our opinions. That's not.
But it's the same thing you said. Like you have eyes, right? So the industry. Right. They're basically taking whatever power they have and then abusing it till they lose it. The same way if you had a boy that comes up and it was like, yo, these girls are coming over, they're fucking so hot, blah, blah. And then like a bunch of fours come over. You might give it to him one more time where he goes like, but the third time he's like, they're fucking smoke show. You go, well, okay, we don't listen to you anymore. Right. So that's what everyone's like with the industry. They go, we don't listen to you anymore. And then the race stuff you're talking about, it's like you find your way. I remember when I was doing comedy 5-6 years ago, and this stuff really started popping off, like Men Are Bad, White Dudes, whatever, right? For a second, you start doing it normally, and then you realize that there is this like aura or energy of people kind of being like, ugh, like exactly what you say. And then it took about a month to sort of change your opinion to you go now like, yeah, dude, I'm white, it's sick. Like you immediately react to what you think. The same way if you walk into a room and you feel like everyone hates you or there's a little bit of animosity towards you, you just act different than if you walk in and everyone feels positive towards you. Right. So you find out a way to react to it in your art that you're making, regardless of what that vibe towards. If I'm the villain, then I'm the villain.
But so when did you actually like notice a change in your comedy?
2015 was like the big pop of it.
Where you were like, what? Like, I just don't care about being about prioritizing being well liked in comedy circles by woke people so much as.
But we always.
It's the same thing as you. It's the same thing as you said about hip hop or any like internet commentary, whatever you want to say. I think it's more realizing that those people don't matter
and barely exist.
Yeah. So when you say about comedy, it's like what real comedians in the clubs think.
Right.
That's very different than what Vulture thinks.
Right.
Or some kids in Brooklyn that aren't putting up numbers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's less of like making a tweak about me and realizing how it actually is.
But okay, do you think that the average, like on average comedy, the comedy subculture, which I realize is like impossibly vast and contains all these little tiny communities within
like
it,
anything,
whatever.
Right?
But do you think that overall the community is like very, very anti sort of like woke language policing, et cetera? Or like how would you describe that?
Well, the biggest comics, like, I mean, you know how you said, they'll try to say someone else and you're like, this is obviously the biggest rapper. Like the same way that they might do that about Joe Rogan.
It's like how Mark Maron is pissed off that Joe Rogan got the deal and he didn't. Because Mark Maron on paper is like going so out of his way to not offend anybody. And it pisses him off that somebody who basically offends people gets the $100 million Spotify deal.
Being a great comic means like you're gonna piss off the people sometimes,
right?
And being a great anything means you're not gonna go with the program. But if you're a bishop at the church, you can't now talk shit about the church. So that's kind of what's going on with a lot of these people. This thing that everyone's young making fun of, so they can't compete because they can't do it, and that's what the popular vibe is right now. Someone that's gonna be honest, whether they're right or wrong. Like, I actually think that. Here's what I think, and people like that. And then so someone like that wants to keep their job, and the only thing they can do to react to that is say this shouldn't be happening. They can't do it better.
Right.
The reaction to that, they're already. What are you going to join in the chorus and say the same thing that every news station saying, every mainstream publication? You join in and be like another person agreeing with that.
Right.
So all you can do is try to shut it down. Where you go, this is mean. This is shouldn't exist.
Right.
So that's what they try to do to make you disappear. But sometimes they're successful. They've made people disappear, but it does eventually. It never wins.
Right.
The telling people what you can and can't do in art never wins.
And it's all about how much leverage you got too, because like you were just with Danny Mullen, and Danny Mullen had like a live show booked recently, and then he had like a comment he made where I think he said something that to me was pretty like self-evidently a joke. It was something about basically how like fat women needed to be exterminated.
Danny says wild shit.
Right. He said something like that on his podcast. The clip goes viral, and now like. I know Danny. I don't think that he's like the kind of person that would want to, exterminate obese people. He seems he's got plenty of obese friends. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Honestly, like he's a comedian. Obviously, he was fucking joking, but they successfully got him booted from like multiple venues to the point where he ended up having to do that live show in the fucking park over there. Yeah.
I mean, you go back and forth because there is that part where it's like, hey, you say stuff and this is the game. And in comedy, there is this game of one part of you wants to be like, I should be able to say whatever the fuck I want. But that's not how it works in real life or in a comedy club.
Right.
Like, it's not, if I showed up to you and I just, you seem like a guy that's not going to get offended. But there's a point where you'd be like, yo, what the Like, we weren't on that vibe and I just came in saying like real crazy shit.
Right.
So every room, every comedy club, every platform has a vibe. But what people don't like is when it's unfair. Like we were, me and some of your dudes were talking before where it's just like, some of the rappers that's all of a sudden like you don't even know what you did. It's just they disappear. It's when you don't know the rules and the rules seem to like only apply to certain things.
Right.
So I think that's what like the fight is against. I mean, the idea that if you go and you do like a corporate event and you show up, right, and then you show up and you're like yelling slurs and women are fucking trash, and then people legitimately are offended where they're like, what the fuck was that? You can't be like, oh, snowflake. She was actually offended in that case.
If you go to a corporate event, is that just kind of implied, or do they make it explicit and say like, hey, like this isn't maybe the venue for you to say the most edgy thing
corporate
you can
gigs,
think of?
Yeah, the corporate gigs.
I brought JJ on a corporate gig.
Worst decision.
Yeah,
it
really?
was disaster.
This guy, he walks rooms like you've never seen, but he kills very hard. I want to say.
But the dude who booked us, it was for truckers, was like waving his arms when I was on stage.
JJ comes in and he's doing a bit about this girl. He goes, this girl's got a fucking clit so big it's flying in the wind. But he's doing a big act out. The guy at the side who's running the event runs up to the side and he just goes, get him off stage. He goes, shut it down.
And he went on and he wasn't much better.
That's true. It wasn't much better.
It's the same shit.
Well, some of those scenarios, you get into a position on stage where you're kind of like, what they want me to do, the audience will hate. So the only way for me to do good right now is to essentially piss off the people that booked me.
Right.
And then you go, which is it? Do I kind of just take the hit, have a very lukewarm set? People go, that guy wasn't that funny. But you get paid, and the guy goes, thanks for coming, and you never talk about this again. Or do you like, nah, I'm going to do good.
Right.
But some people aren't like it. And I think that the real answer is don't take those gigs.
Right.
Yeah, I don't take those gigs.
It's just not worth it?
No, it's not worth it. But that's the difference between...
Yeah, just, you don't want to do that stuff. But, it's big money if you're starting out. It's someone... The truth is, someone gives you like, oh, come do $5,000 to do a thing, and you're starting out, and it's like, and you're like, can you do 45 minutes clean? And you can't really, and you're like, yeah, I could probably try to do that. And then you show up and you do 10 minutes, and you're like, anyway, so I'm having sex the other day.
Because as soon as you start to lose them, you know that saying something edgy is going to reel them back in, get them paying attention.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay.
But also, too, like, if they hate you, I personally think, you know what?
Better than them just not liking you.
And you know what? If they hate me, man, I'm like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. I'm going to give you a real reason to fucking hate me now.
Right.
And then I'll just...
Well, how about the real me? Here we go.
You thought you hated me? Well, I got news for you. That wasn't me.
No, but okay. There is a weird line, though, because, like, I'm somebody who I try not to really, like... I try to make my decisions about what I'll say and what I don't say based on what I actually think is offensive and not based on just like how a random person that exists in my head is going to feel. I've been known to still say retard. I believe I said retard earlier in this podcast, or at least when
I just call them women.
Yeah. But okay, the other day I was around somebody And this is somebody who pretty much, I would say, like affiliates themselves with like, you know, edgy alternative comedy, whatever. And he was saying the F word with the AGGOT, like hard, like aggressive.
And it made you
style.
feel strange.
And it really, like, even to me, I was just like, ugh, like that just kind of makes the hair stand up on my neck a little. And I'm not going to say like I haven't said it in the last fucking year for sure. I've said it when I was angry or something, but just interjecting that into a normal room these days just really hits a little different. I don't know.
Course.
And I say that as somebody who grew up saying it every other fucking word.
But like there's a difference between being edgy and being like subversive. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you're saying things that you know you're not supposed to say, but they're kind of true.
Right.
And that's a good part of comedy. But there's a line where it's like, yeah, you know what you're not supposed to say that's true? That this girl's super fat. Like, do you know what I mean? So if you go up and you're like fat, you're like, sorry, I'm a truth teller. Like there's obviously, so I like to think of it, right?
I'm a truth teller. Look how obese this person is.
Fucking fat
Like, that is
pig.
true. And society does not want you to say that, but perhaps for good reason.
Yeah, but maybe there might be a place where you're kind of like a celebrity and everyone's saying they're hot and you're like, really? I gotta pretend. Then that's, you know, you kind of are nuanced.
Do you
about
think
it.
that if a woman is obese and she goes to a comedy show that she's like, that she should consider being made fun of for her weight on the table as a potential joke?
So that's to me what you were talking about before, where people want to say there's like punching up and punching down, but they don't really understand how that works. What the truth is, it's the audience has a conscience that they think that is their line. Then you have a conscience that what you think's funny.
Right.
So ideally, you say stuff that you feel good about saying, where you go, I think that's funny, and I think that aligns with my sensibilities. The audience has their say of whether they laugh or not, and ideally but sometimes you do I've done also where you say some kind of outrageous shit. You were like, I felt kind of mean about that, and then the audience laughs, but you didn't feel good about it. So you find, and that might happen in real life too, just because sometimes you get the wrong laughs. Like you go, you know, like I always, if I'm in Brooklyn or like New York, I'm going way harder on like gay shit and race. If I'm in the like, you know, Texas, let's say, I might, not Austin, but like, you know, Texas, I might go harder on religion and hit on their shit. But if you go to some place where if you're like, fucking, you know, gay people are suck and everyone's like, hell yeah, bro. And you're like, oh, that's funner if you don't think it.
Right, yeah.
It's funner. But if this is a room full of gay people and I'm trashing them, now it's funny.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on what the scenario is, right? It's just, every room has its own dynamic that you're kind of going on.
But it's crazy too because you get your set filmed. You get like, you know, 30 seconds of your set filmed and it looks crazy out of context, and then that could be the version of it. You know, that woman that you're fucking with could be the most animated, funny person who you could tell by the look in her face that she's not offended and she's gonna roll with the punches. But then you take that and you put it aside, like, and
remove the rapport that you built with her for an hour before.
Right. Like, how much have you felt like you've actually been canceled, or like, what is the actual effort to cancel you been? Because you get so explicitly political with the skits and everything that it feels like there's got to be like a pretty significant amount of backlash to that. Right?
Well, to some degree, you just like. You're like removed. I've removed myself from, like, when I was in Canada, I was making TV shows and I was doing like I had a series, I had like a digital series on like CBC, like the Canadian Broadcast Corporation, right? And to some degree, you just are like, yeah, that stuff's out of the question now,
right?
But the problem is that stuff's becoming increasingly out of the question for everyone that's funny.
Yeah.
So when you look at all of the people that are killing it and that everyone would agree are the funniest people right now, and they go, none of these people could ever work in the industry. It's like, all right, well, like, it looks like your industry sucks now because you have essentially it's like, they're like, you can't come to our thing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be in your thing. You can't have a piece of our thing.
Right.
So I think there's that, but I do have my own things where I have been like on stage, and I remember there's one at the corner with the fat chick.
Oh,
thing,
this was the greatest moment I think I've ever seen of you.
I don't know if it wasn't great for me, but
No,
I remember.
it wasn't, but I was dying in the back.
There
of the
was
room.
this couple, and it was a fat chick, like you said, right? And she was with like a white dude.
Okay.
Or no, she was with a black dude.
Okay.
She was a white chick.
She was a white chick. And then there was another white guy in the crowd, and she kept yelling and stuff like that. And then the white guy kept yelling, and I said some version of, "You're just mad that this black guy stole another one of your fat white chicks." Some shit like that.
Okay.
Kills in the room, and I legitimately watched this woman's like go, like she
Really?
deflated.
Wow.
And in my mind, I was saying this like a joke that, you know, if you go, I always do jokes where it's like, you know, black chicks will be like, "Look at that girl," and you're like, "The one in the mobility scooter, really?" Like, you know, I thought it was like general,
Okay.
but at the time it wasn't general. I was like, this girl.
But had she been talking shit to you?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why I killed, because she was being such a menace.
Yeah, I feel like if you're heckling,
But
it's
in my
like-
personal, I left off stage
Yeah.
being like, I felt awful. And then 2 or 3 dudes would come up to me being like, "That was the funny dude. You fucking let her know."
I was one of
And you're
those
just like,
dudes.
"Oh." Yeah, JJ was like, "Yeah, hell yeah." But in my mind, I was like, okay, now I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
I didn't feel good about that.
Yeah.
So then you update your sensibilities of what you do.
I had the online version of that because do you remember when there was a fucking, I think it was Cosmopolitan, they had a cover, and I think it was this girl, Tess Holiday or
All
some
right.
shit, like very large woman, and she was on the cover of this magazine. And I just put the magazine on Twitter, and I put a row of laughing emojis because as I tweeted it, you know, so many different things went through my head about how stupid this cover was. I just put a row of laughing emojis. Turns out that was a mistake. I probably would have been better off making an actual offensive joke because people were able to like interpret that I meant whatever they wanted me to have been saying in response to that, you know? Like I've just like seeing people quote tweet it and just like run with so many different narratives. Now I also am in the position of having a fiance who has dealt with body image issues throughout her life and has been open about them on YouTube, which I obviously did not think about as I was posting this row of laughing emojis about this obese woman. And so her fans are coming at her talking about what a piece of shit I am, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, you know, like in that moment, it's like, oh, like I guess like I thought this was a good enough edgy thing to laugh about because I don't personally give a fuck about what like people who would be offended by something like this think.
Yeah.
But then like it kind of like canceled me in my own little fucking world because all of a sudden I have my girl upset enough about it that I don't even know if I think I might end up deleting it. Like, but I think I left it up for like many weeks before I deleted it because I'm like,
I don't want to be. I don't want to
they're
delete.
shitting on me. I'm gonna ride it out, but
Yeah.
I also don't want this to be like a thing that it starts getting retweeted again a couple of years from now. You know, that was a tough one because I really had to kind of like delete something that I didn't think was offensive.
You didn't feel wrong,
at all.
but that's why the internet's worse than speaking because they decide and they can take clips, but on that they didn't see your tone, they didn't see your vibe, and Twitter's the worst for that.
But if I had elaborated, it might have been worse also because I mean,
no. Sorry, let me explain. I'm laughing because she's gross.
yeah, I was laughing because of the fact that this is a magazine and you have a person on the cover who's morbidly obese and is never going to live to see like 58 years old. That's personally what I was laughing at, which I understand is a lot to take in because that is kind of offensive.
But you're also, I get it. Like this is the thing where they always kind of like use minorities as like a mask.
Yeah.
Where they go, you're laughing at the minority. It's like, no, really, we're kind of messing with like white liberals telling you what to say.
Right.
You know, so there's like an old principle with comedy, but it's like first you say jokes, and then once people tell you you can't say jokes, if you really feel like you can't say jokes, you make fun of the people telling you can't say jokes, which is a lot of what's happening right now. And so if you mentioned the Chapelle, the trans stuff, every big comedian had a bunch of trans stuff on their specials this year. Why? Well, it's an elephant in the room.
Yeah.
You have to talk about it. It's the number one thing you're not supposed to do. If you're a kid and you go to, like, I remember even just being in like an assembly or something, right? And imagine they go, here's the one thing no one can say.
Right, yeah.
You can't mention Jesus in a bad way or some shit like that, right? If you go in with a group of your friends, the first person that says that's getting a pop.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just gave that word so much comedic power.
Oh yeah.
And that's everything, right? So it's the more you tell everyone, like, this is the one thing that you can't do, you go, to be honest, I have to now.
Right.
It's like, you like made it so if I don't talk about this, it's the elephant in the room. It feels weird that you didn't mention it.
But it's weird because now you're a hate monger if you even like acknowledge that being or obese is dangerous.
Which is a fun one, right?
Which is a crazy
That's
one.
that's kind of my favorite
And
one.
my favorite thing that you have to read between the lines on is when they talk about COVID deaths in America versus other countries, but nobody's ever allowed to acknowledge that maybe more Americans are dying because of the fact that they're all fat as fuck.
How funny is it
Fatties.
that America is the fattest country in the world by a long shot, right?
Yeah.
And then the response to that, so I think it's like, what, 60% of people? And then America, it's the most American shit ever where they go, actually, like, we're the minority group right now.
Right.
So they made it so instead of being like, let's get in shape, America was like, you can't, it's actually, we're the
You can't
best.
talk shit about them, even though it's almost everyone, and any
almost
doctor will
everyone.
tell you it's like the best thing that you could dream
Well,
up
doctors
if you
are
wanted to die
sexist.
early.
Yeah, just be a little overweight and you're fucked with this.
I was talking about how doctors don't want to call people fat. They just go, listen, if you could be 30% less brave.
Right. Yeah, stand up for yourself a little bit less.
No, but those are the
shit.
funniest ones where it's like they're telling you something. We all know it's not true,
Yeah.
but I have to say it.
Right. But I feel like the Chapelle thing in so many ways is just going to be this like big beacon, like a big old lighthouse on the timeline that just reminds everyone you don't have to give in. When they try to tell you that there are all these things you can't say, you just don't have to give in.
Well, it's like the gay guys. We were doing a show in Austin, and I'm opening for Ryan, and they had a host who was gay, and he was like really like effeminate.
Okay.
And he would go
Funny
on
dude, yeah.
Yeah, sure, funny, yeah. But he would go on stage and say, I can't say fag, can I?
You can say whatever. I don't
Okay,
give a fuck.
so he would say like literally.
He sucked enough dick,
Yeah,
didn't he, right?
I've sucked enough cock. So I would say fag with the hard OT. He would get mad at me for saying it, but then he would go the next night.
It's like Cosby telling people don't use the ER, you know?
Wow.
But yeah, and he would go on stage. The fucking hypocrite would go on and say the exact same thing, but it's different
This guy's
because you're wearing
fine.
fucking belt. Yeah, sure, he's fine, but
He was getting on you for saying
it,
Because
but
what, you're
he-
not gay enough? You're not like outwardly
exactly.
gay enough?
But he would go on and do it, and I'm like, what? You guys have like you're the biggest fucking hypocrites.
Yeah.
You know what the Chapelle thing too? You're right, but the Chapelle thing also, it wasn't not only the you can't say anything point. It was also there was like a jockeying of which class. Like there's always been kind of what you were saying earlier in the podcast where they try to kind of wrap all the other issues into black issues because it's like the same. Where there's like, gay and trans is the same thing and the black issues are the same as trans issues and all this stuff, right? Chappelle's kind of point was like, no, it's, it's been harder to be black than it is to be trans. Like most of you people were kind of
Right.
live most of your life as just like a white dude or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And to be honest, he was kind of saying like, they were like, no, we're all together, but like kind of we're higher. And he was like, we're not together and you're not higher.
And
Right? A little.
I do
true.
believe that some of you genuinely have gender dysphoria, whatever the fuck it is. But
Fine,
a
yeah.
lot of y'all are just making this shit up for attention. Let's be honest here.
But more importantly than that, a lot of them aren't even the ones that are getting mad.
Right.
But you are right. Like if a chick's like, I look like a chick and everything, but I'm like non-binary. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but there
But,
are
like,
people that do the full thing.
I'm bisexual, but I'm in a relationship with someone that's the opposite gender of me, but I'm still gonna tell you at every fucking turn how I'm bisexual and
Bisexual,
trans,
yeah.
all this shit. It's like,
Yeah.
You're just inventing shit to just sort of like not put yourself in the boring white person
Yeah,
box.
that's what it
And
is.
I'm weird because I'm over here just like accepting, like, okay, I'm just like a regular white guy. I'm not gonna like make up some new genders. So I can impress
Well,
you.
there you have it. Adam and Ben Shapiro agree.
Yeah.
2 genders
Two
tops.
No, but the reality is that like I've had a lot of trans people on this podcast over the years, and I don't.
Yeah, dude, we're in comedy.
and
We know
not
a ton.
a lot, like maybe like 4 or something.
That's
But,
a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot compared
There's
to
like 6
actual
in the world. Yeah, so 4 of the 6.
Okay, one of them is Blair White, so I know she would be sympathetic to
Blair
what we're
White's
talking
wild,
about. But
eh?
then, like, even the other ones, like, I don't really think that any of the people that I've been able to actually get along with or whatever who are trans are the types of people that are out here like demanding that nobody have a fucking reasonable opinion or reasonable conversation about this. Like, I'm forced to assume that even within the trans community, the offended percentage of the trans community is kind of exaggerated. Like I
Agreed.
feel like
sure.
I feel like probably within the trans community there's a lot more like J.K. Rowling and her opinions are just fine.
Dude, it's
than
the
we would maybe
20-year-old
expect,
college
you know?
chick fucking community that's mad.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what
Well,
I'm saying.
even the trans comedians, what happened was there was an article as a response to Dave Chappelle and saying, Dave Chappelle's transphobic. Here's funnier trans comedians than Dave Chappelle. And it listed a bunch of trans comedians. And I know one of the trans comedians who was happy about this article, and she was sharing it. And it's like, you're getting attention from something you didn't do. And you're like publishing something that you're funnier than Dave Chappelle. It's
That's
insane.
that part where it is hard, though. It's like if you're a trans person and then like big publications start being like, you're funnier than Dave Chappelle, you're like, don't put me in a fight with Dave Chappelle. Like, I didn't say that I'm funnier than Dave
then
Chappelle,
also,
but what are you going to say? Like,
if
no,
you're
I'd
going to
put you in a tough
attention
position.
and praise upon me for just being who I am, whatever. Maybe I'll just accept that I'm.
What
not
are you going to
supposed
do? Be like, it's tough, right?
Yeah,
It puts you in a position of like, how honorable are you going to be to like, no, right? I think a lot of it goes back to the, like, you guys live like kind of wild pirate lives, right?
I mean,
He's
I
a
think
regular
so.
white dude. He just said he's a regular
No,
white
but a lot
these
of
days, but I've had a wild pirate life as a whole.
I mean,
these days I'm pretty boring.
Well, even in just your career and your job.
oh
like,
yeah,
you
the
do-
porn thing is kind of wild.
Yeah, also you're making porn in your office. I mean, sure, super normal, but
I've gotten my jizz on this rug before. To put it in perspective, I've had to clean my own jizz from this rug.
but you're a guy that like obviously can handle the idea that this isn't the normal life. That's all I'm saying. Is like so a lot of people the idea of like normalizing everything. I feel like is kind of more of a girl thing than a guy thing, and it's people wanting to live like alternative lifestyles, but they want everyone to think it's normal.
Yeah.
I feel like the first part of this was when every person was getting like tattoos, like kind of like neck tattoos and everything, and then you'd start seeing the articles being like, actually, it's super normal to have neck tattoos. I shouldn't be not getting job interviews because and it was like, I'm being discriminated against because I have a tattoo on my face. And you're like, if you can't handle people looking at you weird because you have tattoos covering your face, don't get it. You're not the type of person that can handle this.
I remember first hearing that argument.
Same reason by being important though.
And I was kind of blown away. I'm like, oh, so I can just demand that everybody treat me like I thought by getting shit tattooed on my face that I was kind of like willingly accepting that I was going to be on the outsides of society to a certain extent.
A pirate.
Yeah, and then at a certain point, like I started seeing that opinion. I'm like, you know what? Fuck yeah. You can't tell me what to do. Like, you got to hire us to work at Rite Aid, even if we have fucking, like, if you have a white power face tattoo, you have to be hired by Rite Aid. Rite Aid can't tell you no. That's my new opinion because
so
it
what?
seems to benefit me.
I have COVID. COVID's a lie on my underlip.
Oh man,
I got some fucking. I got a fucking sermon about Sandy Hook on my back.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. No, I mean, but when you think about it, the whole COVID thing, like, it really, I think, is like increased distrust in institutions among people so much, in the fact that like people still have to wear a fucking mask to go in McDonald's and all this shit. Like, like, I think a lot of it is kind of bullshit. Like, people are just basically being like fed misinformation and stuff, for sure. But then at the same time, I do feel like the average person is being like slowly radicalized to not trust the government on anything.
Dude,
because
uncles
the
are getting
messaging
real
has,
radicalized.
Yes, because the messaging has been so unclear, and now it's like, okay, here's this thing. I feel like the messaging has been so bad that's why it's like hard to get so many people to get vaccinated, because they've just done such a bad job of putting it out into there. I know you probably think that like the vaccine will kill you and everything, but
No, I'm not into any of that stuff.
no, you're not into that.
No.
You draw the line there.
No, well, I just. Do you know what the thing is? I feel like I've fairly like reasonable, like centrist takes on things.
I do too. Yeah,
it's
I feel
just
like
like
that
you're
about
supposed
you too,
to.
yeah.
It's like what you're supposed to think is so crazy. I agree with you that the reason why people are so jazzed up on all the like vaccine stuff is that it's like there's also this other part where the media kind of said, hey, if you don't take the vaccine, you're right wing, as a tactic to make people do it. But for half the country, they're like, oh, then I guess I don't take it because I'm right wing.
Right.
Like that's not an insult if you say it to someone in, works in a steel mill in Pittsburgh. Like, that's actually positive for him.
Or like, okay, dude, with the mandates and stuff, that shit's pretty crazy, because I have maybe 10 full-time employees in here on a regular basis. If I had 10 times as many employees, so if I had 100 employees, then I would have to fire any of them who don't get vaccinated within like a couple weeks.
But
Like,
this town is
that
crazy.
begins.
I mean,
town
everyone
is
has
crazy.
fakes. Like,
That's true, and I'm not really sure. Like, is any? A lot of my employees have fake vaccine cards for sure, but like, if I'm just snitching on him left and right, but I mean, I would be like really offended and upset like that. Like even for me, as somebody who's very pro-vaccine, I mean, that right there would maybe be enough for me to be like, I'm going full fuck you to the government if I had to lay off 40 people because of the vaccine thing, you know? And I could encourage them to get vaccinated, but I mean, at the end of the day, like fucking how much do I really want to be involved in that, in my employees' personal lives like that, you know?
Yeah, everyone has their like spot where they're kind of like, wait a second, these people are lying to me, aren't they?
Yeah, like, okay, I think that is a little too much of like me demanding medical records from everybody who works for me. That is something I'm not really sure if I'm trying to get down with, dude.
Yeah. I get it from both sides where it's people that people are getting mad at me for like kind of being reckless during COVID. Like we were doing shows, we were kind of touring early. I was still doing like videos on the street and stuff like that. And I was getting a lot of pushback. Even people wrote, there's articles written, stuff like that. And with pretty funny quotes.
That was a big thing for a while. Nelk Boys got their entire YouTube channel demonetized and probably lost out on millions of dollars because of the fact that they were going and doing crazy parties at schools during COVID, like early.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I get it from the other side where people go, hey, you shouldn't be touring in Toronto because they have vaccine requirements, or you shouldn't be touring here. Like,
But you're vaccinated.
That's correct. But if I would go, I'm not going to, but people, everyone just wants you to be an activist for what they think. That's the bottom line. I'm like, dude, I didn't like get into comedy to be an activist. Like, it's just not what I do.
The vaccines brand needs work because like right now when somebody says like you're vaccinated, I kind of expect the next thing out of your mouth to be like, and you suck dick, and you're like, you have no respect for your parents. It's like really like it's just like it's got like a sissy ass image at this point, and it's like,
but, and they think that's positive. That's what I'm saying. They're pitching this like, hey, don't you want to be like us? And you're kind of like, not really. That's why JJ had to go back out of the closet or back in the closet.
To be honest,
they go, hey, gay guys, we're all vaccinated.
You don't think the vaccine had something to do with you being gay?
No, one of the vaccines did.
JJ.
My mother was a whore.
Early
That's what
on.
it had to do. She was pregnant with me sucking other men's dicks. My dad told me. No, but this town is crazy because everyone's vaccinated and it's so fucking locked down still.
Yeah.
I don't get this city.
Yeah, everybody who had their fucking businesses ruined and stuff are not exactly becoming like advocates for vaccine mandates.
But even now, like just going around the streets, I'm like, this city is like, and I'm like, again, I'm pro-vaccine, I'm pro like be healthy, but this city's been pussified.
I'd say LA is the most places where, because everywhere else I feel like I go, they have all the requirements, but then like no one does it, any of it.
Yeah.
Whereas LA is the first place where I walk into a Starbucks and there's like two baristas being like, hey, you have a mask, show me your, and you go, whoa.
You've had that happen? You have to like show the
I'm
vaccine
in
card
West
just
Hollywood.
to walk in?
No, not the vaccine card at West
okay.
Hollywood, but
I've been asked.
at the start, everywhere else, like restaurants, to be on a patio. But I did have, I saw the kind of person you're talking to when I was in line at Starbucks, and the person comes up and they're like, hey, who do I show this to? And the person's like, you don't have to do that. And he's like, can I?
Yeah, like that's one thing I've realized
He had it
that
fucking in the queue, dude. He wanted to show it off.
when you're pulling up to something, whether it's a club or a concert or a party or whatever, and you hear like, oh, they have this vaccine requirement, nobody gives a fuck. You have to be able to present something that's enough for them to like be able to
This
have
isn't
like
crayon, you're
plausible-
pushing it.
Yeah. If you have a piece of cardboard with vaccine written in crayon, they might not let you in. But anything besides that, they're pretty like nobody is so invested in this. It's not like you're gonna get 10 years in jail if you let somebody into this bar with a fake vaccine card. And so it's kind of like where are you really gonna draw the line?
But this is what's so crazy. So I go on Grindr just for,
Nice.
just check out the grand, just a boys thing to do, right? Like one of the guys.
Just window shopping.
Just window shopping, just like guys, straight guys do. And I go on there. And there's guys, all their vaccine status, but all these dudes are wanting to fucking bareback.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, hey, fully vaxxed, got the booster, but let me breed your fucking hole.
This is JJ at the gay club, like, yo, you're vaxxed though, right?
But it's crazy. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that like, they're like, oh, hey, we have to be very careful, but then you're barebacking strangers.
But I've heard
which is cool.
I've heard on like Grindr and stuff that like 90% of guys are down to do bareback sex, and they're like advertising that they have HIV and they want to.
They're
Is this all true?
undetectable.
Reverse bug
Okay.
chasers, I guess that is.
Wow.
I don't know if 90%, but there are people that will post HIV positive, they post undetectable.
Wow.
So that means you basically have
You kind
HIV.
of are. They're right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's if you're undetectable, you're undetectable.
If you're undetectable, it means you have HIV positive, but it's you can't. I don't think you can transmit it, or it's very less likely.
Okay.
Because you're on like
especially if
the
you're on
medication.
PrEP and shit, like you know.
Yeah.
But so are you having bareback
From
sex
what I
on
hear.
Grindr on the regular? Or
No,
you wrap it up.
I actually.
Do you know what he's into? Okay, this is not a gay thing. So this is a straight JJ thing. He's really, really into hiring chicks and then drinking their breast milk.
Titty milk, love titty milk. Wet nurses, they like to be called.
You can be gay and do that.
He's moving to New York and he goes, oh, there's this one chick that's like the top like breast
Wet
milk.
nurse, yeah.
What do you call it? A wet nurse?
Wet nurse.
My girl is literally breastfeeding right now.
How-
and
does that do anything for
I
you?
haven't tasted
You
breast-
haven't
no,
tasted it?
I'm kind of weirded out by
How
it.
could he buy some?
The other day we were hooking up with a girl and she started squirting her breast milk onto her pussy and then eating it off of the pussy.
on! You don't want some of that?
I mean, I thought that was kind of hot, but I didn't really feel like, oh yeah, let me try some of that.
Oh my God, I would be right. I would like if I had a wife who was pregnant, I would like shoo over the kid and like get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah, dude. He pays top dollar if anyone's listening. Oh, he's got a big audience. Hit JJ up on Instagram with your prices, dude.
Wow.
He's out there.
How did you figure that out? Like that's like such a strange fetish for a gay man.
Well, he started with cum. He's like, is there a girl version? He goes, this is the best we can do.
Well, I don't know. I just I don't know what it was. It was just one of these things. So when I started fucking chicks, like I mean, I ran through hole in the 20s for men hole. Like
Sick, dude.
Yeah.
You fucked every guy, so you just kind of.
Honestly, every guy
guy in New York, yeah.
every guy that I could fuck.
Wow.
And then I started titty fucking chicks, and I got a lot of. I fucked.
That was hitting the spot for you.
Hundreds of escorts. Not to brag. Wow. I know a lot of guys get jealous when they hear that.
That
but
poker money.
Hundreds of escorts? I mean, that just sounds like so much money.
So much. I'm so broke.
Wow.
I'm so broke all the time. I once had a $5,000 Breitling. Do you remember when I started comedy?
He's such an idiot, dude. It's like, honestly, an escort's is better use of his money than the other shit he would buy. Like, you know what I mean?
How much was an escort during this time period?
I vary. Sometimes,
a couple $100.
I'm such a scumbag. I'll go for like the $80 quick visits, 15 minutes, because I can come in like 3 minutes. So
Right.
yeah, so like I'll go for like dirty, like that's the
Montreal breast fit girl.
Yeah, I found a chick off Craigslist before you could. They've banned it since. She was fucking disgusting. She was $40.
And she's on the cover of Cosmopolitan magazine this week.
She was in your tweet.
She was disgusting. The way you said that.
She didn't even speak English. She was in the French side of Montreal. I took a cab to her
She's saying the
place.
same thing about him, by the way.
yeah.
This
She got a
fucking
story
guy
about
just
you?
drank my breast milk. He's
No,
disgusting.
she had no breast milk. Just it was a pure titty fuck.
Useless.
And I showed up.
Are you even a woman?
It was very useful because it was $40.
Wow.
And I showed up at
That's
her place.
French, and that's Canadian, by the way.
Yeah, so that's like $20 here to tit fuck.
Wow.
Like that's wow. Is
Like,
right.
what does she have going on? Like, how,
She didn't even have
She's
a
smoking a
door.
cigarette while he's doing it.
And the cigarette is like 5% of the amount of money she just
She had-
made for you to do this.
She had a cigarette burn on her fucking tit.
She's dipping chewing tobacco while fucking JJ's titty fucking.
And this
I-
is your type.
This is the tits. Honestly, I was so grossed out. But when she pulled out these fucking tits that just
He's like, "Let's go."
just flopped in big areolas. I was so hard. I was disgusted, but so hard, and I couldn't come. I couldn't come quick enough. And that's, dude. She had like a pile of cigarettes that I thought was art. Like it was pitch black. I didn't want to see her. I cried after.
Wow.
I didn't know who to feel bad for.
You cried after?
Like I had tears. I didn't know if I should feel bad for her or me. Like this was like desperation for both of us.
Wow.
That was a double rock bottom.
Yeah. I was like, and I was in Montreal doing club spots, which
So then you can imagine this is the kind of stuff on stage. Someone comes for a nice night with their girlfriend.
I'm so glad that I had a bad first prostitute experience back in the day in China because, like, you know, they're just like
have a dick.
They're sucking my dick through like a fucking condom, and then like because I paid for 2 of them. I paid like $80 for 2 girls, and like they're going back and forth, but in between they have to wipe my dick down with
It's so mechanical,
like a alcoholic rub, and then they have to put a new condom on, and meanwhile. While one of them was going down on me through the condom, the other one would be licking my nipples. But which I don't like, and I didn't want them to do this, but I like
you didn't request
just
that.
like
They just
allowed them
started.
to. I like stopped her at some point, but before she did that, she would take the alcoholic rub and wipe my nipple.
Come on.
I'm like, what is this? Is so stupid. And then I never did it.
This
again.
was COVID times before COVID.
This was 10 plus years.
But that's
ago,
what I'm saying. Now you have to like rub shit down and clean it off. And
Oh,
be
now
super
they must be
sanitized.
real sanitary.
I mean,
now.
this was in
Put
China.
a mask on your dick.
This was in China in a literal nail salon. So it's
Did you
get a pedicure after?
It was
pedicure
like
and
4
tug?
o'clock in the morning. Like, what would stop me from doing that now is like I would assume that any woman who's in that position in China, it's like more likely than not that she's being sex trafficked, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which so like I don't even think
Feels
I would ever
weird,
be able to do
that
that from
shit.
that perspective.
I
Like,
have a whole bit about that. Everything I fuck is American made. I don't fuck if the ad honestly says Hiroko, I will not go there.
Really?
No, I don't want to like be there and some guys in the next room going,
yeah.
huh.
going somewhere to a prostitute, like going into their lair or having them come to
Lair.
yours, that just seems very like
Yeah.
you're
Seems
really
sketchy.
biting off something wild.
To me,
there.
going
they can do
into-
whatever to you.
That I would feel that way going into someone's lair where I'm just like the guy's gonna come in and being like, you're here forever now. You're
And if-
like they just tie you down.
If you're a
and
total
torture you.
nobody, then it's kind of like whatever, because what plausible reason would they have to kill you or whatever?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
as soon as
You
you
get
have
extorted.
anything going for you, then it's
I
kind of
know.
like.
Well, I'm a total nobody, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself, man. I was watching a YouTube video about Mac Miller's death, and they were showing the fucking text messages that he was having with his drug dealer, where they're like
Whoa.
negotiating drug prices and prostitute prices, like as like a bundle. Like we'll give you this many perks and this many this amount of coke, and also we'll give you this girl that'll be $1,200, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just like reading that or watching that, thinking about the fact that this guy was like fully in love with dating Ariana Grande like eight months before that.
Yeah.
And then before he passed, he's like fully like just fucked up off drugs, just fucking ordering hookers to the studio.
That would be awful to think you're gonna get a hooker and then you die, because I always show up like hard.
That's
And
the
I'm
real
like,
tragedy. In
Oh,
his
I
opinion.
get nervous because
He's like, stop. Did he get the hooker before he died?
part of the rush for me is being. I have an edible and I'm being stoned. I'm stoned out of my mind.
Right.
And it's like part of the rush. Oh, this could be a fucking sting.
Oh, you like the danger component.
the high risk. And then when you know it's just some fucking, you see these big titties and it's real. The baby oil's out there.
Jesus.
Yeah, that cum is so much better. Like that nut
Wow.
is amazing.
Wow, he's talking about jizz taste. I don't know if I ever had somebody talk about that on this podcast. That's
No,
crazy.
I don't mean coming. I mean tasting it. I mean like busting the nut.
Dude, he's probably not even the craziest dude in that whole poker world you got, right?
I don't know. I don't really like that's one weird thing about poker is when I'm at the table and you have like a female dealer, or if there's any women at the table, I feel hella uncomfortable because my brain is in like porn mode of
Yeah.
like you're really, really careful about what you talk
have
about
to be.
around random people. If somebody's signed on to be part of the porn, whatever, then okay, you can pretty much say whatever around them. But like if there's even one woman at the table, I feel so uncomfortable talking about sex around them these days, because I don't know. I don't want to push the buttons.
I don't either.
She's just here to play a game. I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable. So
Well, I
it's
wear the
kinda weird.
fleshlight T-shirts when I play cards.
Right.
Well, but yeah, I guess there's that other component of if you make him feel uncomfortable, throw him off the game, right?
Right. But tell the story. Tell about you having your sponsor
Yeah, so
censored at the World Series.
So I was playing the main event, and I got on.
We staked him, or Danny did.
Yeah, I got on TV on CBS Sports, and I'm wearing the Fleshlight because I make the comedy sketches for Fleshlight.
Right.
And they're like, "You got to cover it up." Wow. And you're playing in a room with fucking degenerates, fucking drug users, people who are like relationships ruined. They're talking about heroin, an ex-heroin addict.
And why that? Like everybody else has weird fucking sponsors. Like most of it's poker specific, but like they should make those rules clear. Like we're gonna tell you what. Like would I be allowed to wear my own merch on there? Because if so, and I own Fleshlight, which I may, if I have to buy a percentage of Fleshlight so that I can wear their merchandise on TV, they don't know that you're not the owner.
Well, I think it messes with their sponsors that they have.
That's what it is. There's such but it's like this game. We're still living in this game. Like this is fucking, we're still pretending it's in the 90s where everything has to be clean. And
where people aren't fucking rubber tubes filled with oil to get off. I tried to fuck my girl's Fleshlight and I fucking... I don't know. It didn't. I think I might not have done it right.
Contractually, JJ loves it.
Because
Contractually,
it
yes.
had a lid on the end. I feel like
to tighten it.
Did I have to take that lid off? Because
No,
I felt
you
like I
can
was shoving my dick into like a black hole vacuum that I like couldn't get it into.
Dude, there's some great Fleshlight products, and not because I make content for them. I love it.
Do you know what? Okay, you know Matt Sancombe, I think too, right?
Yeah.
Hard Times dude.
Yeah.
So I owned a part of that website, and I did all the videos for a while.
Really? Wow.
And we did a video for Fleshlight back in the day. I think I said or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But we did it with Riley Reid, Abella Danger, like all these porn stars, right? And we're doing this funny video. It kind of like keeps going viral. It was like 3 years ago.
Right.
But I remember the funniest part was Riley Reid was there, and she's like dating some dude, and she was like talking to all the other porn stars. I don't know. He just has like a little problem with what I do for work, so it's a bit of a thing. This we're eating like subs for fucking lunch, and me and Matt are there, right? And we're hanging out, and they're having all this like. That's so weird. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's your job. It shouldn't affect it. And me and Matt are like, yo, this is crazy. Like, yeah, we want to be like, yeah, no, I think everyone would have a problem with this. It's like,
I would love
not
it.
everyone,
I
but
would love it. I would love it.
No, you would love it. But there is this thing of like, she was like, huh? I mean, obviously the real answer is like, he got involved with this. That's what the situation is. But it is also funny for her being like, she couldn't like fathom.
But you know what's interesting about that is that so they broke up because that guy like increasingly throughout the years
He wasn't feeling
they
it.
were together for like 5-6 years.
He's like a DJ, right?
Yeah, and then eventually he basically told her like, I want you to leave the
Get out of
porn
the game,
industry
yo.
and just be with me. And she was basically like, fuck no, I ain't doing it. But then her new dude that she's married to now, when she met him, she basically, I don't know if it was because of him or it was because of COVID, but she stopped shooting like real porn. So now she just does her OnlyFans and does stuff with him.
Oh, wow.
So she basically ended
He
up.
actually got the deal.
Exactly. He got the deal
That's
that
how
the
it
other guy
always
was
is.
going for. Yeah. But
Yeah.
nowadays it's kind of like, if you're doing porn, there's a weird dynamic. If you're doing like real actual porn, if you're going to browsers and you're shooting scenes or whatever, you're basically doing it for a promotion because they have big fans followings.
Yeah, build your thing.
Or you're just doing it because you like it and you want to do it. Because these days, like if you could be a girl with an OnlyFans and you could make, you know, let's say you make $10,000 a month. I mean, you're never going to make that from doing mainstream porn because you're getting paid like $1,000, $1,500 for a
Hell no,
scene type shit. So a lot of those girls, like, they work all the fucking time, or like during the pandemic, I know so many girls who are working like every day shooting real porn who just said, "Fuck this, I'm not doing it." They started.
My ex
OnlyFans.
did that. My ex has like they call it fan zone, so similar to OnlyFans.
Right.
She's making 6 figures a year.
Yeah.
And she wasn't having sex with anyone.
Yeah, I know. In the new, and like I'm sure it's like in your world, but in the like comedy scene, like all the girls that do all that shit are like in the mix and all the podcast circuit and all that stuff. And
Right.
dude, some of those girls, like you're saying, some of those girls are just shooting all day. There's some girls that I know that kind of had a following. They're like, dude, they put up a photo a week.
Oh, yeah,
and they're
yeah.
just $40K a month.
The
like,
standard is
just
crazy low. Yeah,
ripping it.
But do you feel the resentment there? Because when I read the comments about OnlyFans girls, a lot of times I feel like I'm reading a comment from some guy who's like 20 and he works at the car wash, and then like the girl next door, the girl who's next door is 20 and she's making like $20,000 a month off fucking OnlyFans, and that's like clearly the reason why he's upset with her life choice. You know?
Yeah.
He wants her to come work at the car wash,
Dude,
or
but-
date him and work at the car wash.
Dude, everyone hates when they like signed up to do the system of like how you're supposed to do life, and then someone else seems like they're hacking it, and you're like, yo, fuck this. You're supposed to have to do it the hard way that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone, but even goes back to like all of this, what you're doing with comedy, everything. Like, do you know how many people there are that like work at Comedy Central or whatever, or at like some TV station or at some record label, go in 60 hours a week, make $100K a year, which is fine, and then see some idiot talking into a microphone and is hanging out smoking weed with his buddies and just rip it. It makes them mad. They're like, so I think everyone doesn't like it when people are doing kind of an alternative lifestyle and it's working.
Yeah. Especially as their industry sort of rapidly declines. Like if your job
You made a bad investment.
If your job is to write articles for Vice, I mean, there's no way that you're feeling good about where your career is going. They just like
you
laid off
hate
like
that.
40% of the people doing that job. I remember back like 2010, 2011, that type
Vice
time
was cool.
period. There was
Vice
was
was
cool,
really
and
cool.
there's a million articles coming out per day on Vice, and there's like a lot of really interesting stuff. They had a really good brand image. I remember I went in. I had a meeting at Vice
I used to too.
years ago in Venice, and we went there, and there's like so few people working there. And I said to my buddy who worked there, Justin, I'm like, "Where is everybody?" And he's like, "Bro, you remember those like sexual harassment articles?
All the
and
guys
stuff?"
that look like you are done.
He's like, everybody got fired. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit. And then like 6 months later, I'm in Vegas and I see the fucking higher ups at Vice, like with a private room at the strip club, and they're all doing fucking Molly and
They're
coke
rocking
and
still?
yeah.
getting wasted. And like, I'm fucking talking to like my fucking friends who are like rolling around with them, and they're just like, yeah, it's like, you know, shit ain't really changed that much.
and
This
then
is
they
years
go
ago.
back to their office and write articles about how men are toxic.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm like,
They green light articles. They must want to kill themselves like that dude at Vice.
Vice has got to be the best example of a brand that was cool and they torched their own image because they decided to be edgy.
We were gonna
but
do-
they would be regarded like Barstool if they didn't do that, right?
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, like
It was a little more hipster, but yeah, it would have been some cool shit.
But at a certain point, like, you know, when
Tattoo
the
shit.
media just keeps writing these fucking articles about you, trying to convince the world that you are one thing, it's like Vice's image would just not be what it is currently if they had
They took
gone
some
that
big,
route.
Yeah, they
wild
suck,
corporate.
man.
There was a lot of money to be made into like articles about 10 reasons why you're a Nazi or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But there was a profitable time. I think that, you know, people are getting, those aren't clicking as hot anymore. Dude, when I went there, we were pitching this show. It was about because when they came to, they did a big thing in Canada and they wanted to make a show. It was with a bunch of guys. So we were going to make the show about guys in bands. And the guy said to me, he was like, we want to do stuff about refugees right now. Like if there's any way to incorporate this refugees into the show. And he's straight faced, looks at me.
Do you know any
And
refugees in
swear
bands?
I swear, he looks at me and he goes, he says the words, "Refugees are hot right now."
Right.
And he didn't even like realize like how wild it was that he was saying this. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna put refugees in the band. Like this probably isn't the show. Like we kind of had these are the kind of conversations we used to have like when I was making content in like Toronto or whatever, right?
Right.
And then and then Shane Smith, our buddy worked there, and he comes on the TVs. Do you remember Power Rangers like Zordon?
Yeah.
So in Canada one, he comes on the TVs and they're fucking. He gives everyone a pep talk every morning, and he goes, "Everyone else is making stuff that's shit. Vice, we're not shit." And then he'd sign off, and he'd do that. And then I went there to do this meeting, and we were in a boardroom, right, watching this thing, and they put this video on of because they wanted us to make shows because we were doing stuff at Rogers, and then they go, "We're trying to make shit at Vice that you can't make in a boardroom." And we're in a boardroom, like watching this video,
Right.
but there's like skateboards on the wall. You know, they're like, it was cool like yours, but then they want you to make like not your grandmother's cooking show,
Right.
but all the shit they actually made was like, you know, why like men cooking is actually sexist or whatever the fuck,
Right.
right?
Holy
So it's like they were going through like a proper, they didn't know what to do.
Right.
People like me and you got weeded the fuck out.
Oh, hell yeah. Super fast.
Well, you know what? They went from saying like a guy like JJ, they would probably be like, "Look at this wild dude,"
Right.
to being like, "This is why this wild dude's bad."
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I wrote down a couple fucking things that I should probably bring up before we. Oh, yeah, okay. I wrote down 3 things. This is so good.
Nice.
Allow me to just read these uninterrupted. Number 1, Kamala versus Elizabeth Warren's titties. Number 2, Playboy in 2024 is a Ziploc bag of cum. You recently had that conversation on your podcast, just so you know.
I said that on my podcast.
And then the third one is just
I know.
Corinne, so I didn't forget the name of the girl from the Guys We Fuck podcast who we're friends
Are
with.
you friends with Corinne?
Yeah, who you also I see does
oh,
like a
Corinne's
shitload
like one of my
skits with you.
closest friends.
Really, yeah. She fucks with my girl a lot, and we went on their
Really?
podcast years ago.
We
yeah.
share a studio. Me and Corinne have a
Really? I didn't know
we
that.
got a studio in East
Oh,
Village.
okay. That's
Yeah.
tight.
We're in one corner, then the other corner.
Ziploc bag of cum. Not her, but
I think I know what you're. Okay, I know exactly what you're
it
talking
was about because Playboy
Now I know.
has put men on the cover, and then that like you extrapolated from that this is what I got from listening to one episode of
know
your
what it
podcast is
was.
that at some point in the future Playboy is going to just come with a Ziploc bag of cum, which of course, yeah.
So Playboy basically had a gay dude on the cover.
Really?
And then we're saying so Playgirl has like a lesbian on the cover. They just switch.
Right.
And like so, but we're loving the idea of imagine some old 60-year-old dude that was like a Playboy dude. He used to have the stack in the garage.
Right.
And then him being like, let me see what's I might have to spank one out. You can see what Playboy's up to. He just turns it on and some dude with his dick out.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It turns out you're gay now. Yeah. Wow.
That's the flip.
That's so stupid.
But no, Corinne Guys We Fuck podcast. She's a badass and is in all my shit. And then that was my first viral video when I moved to America 2 years ago. Was Kamala Harris, who has the bigger titties, and then these two. So I go, who has better titties, Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren? And then these ladies that were filming their own videos flipped out, and they're like, "What the fuck? This is the most grossest thing we've ever heard." And then they kept saying, "I'm an anti-porn activist," and I go, "Oh, was that like with people's aunts when they're doing porn?" Shit,
and he told her that they work for Vice, and they just fully went for it. Like, dude. I can't believe Vice is co-signing this type of behavior.
Not my Vice.
But what was the actual game plan there? You were just asking people that until someone got offended?
I know. I do these like interviews on the street, and like half the time you find someone that like you vibe with, and we find like a funny moment, right?
Right.
Like I come from that school. Like I was doing TV shows in Canada. Like I was big into Ali G, Tom Green. Like I come from that world. That was the stuff I was doing forever, making DVDs and doing videos like that. So sometimes people flip out. That was more when I was young. It's like you go and get kicked out, and that's the big like.
Right.
Now I think I have way more gags that I can take it. One of my favorite ones is like finding a dude that's like bragging about sex or something and getting him jazzed up, and he's like, "Dude, I fucked 9 girls last week." Like just getting it. Like to me, some of that's my favorite stuff too, right? Or just sometimes it takes us someplace weird, right? So you think all different places, but sometimes two ladies show up and they're pissed off that you even exist.
Yeah.
But no, the point of that video was to like just get people talking about who has nicer titties, get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a fair conversation to have, right?
Well, what do you think now? Who has the nicest titties in politics? Do you think it's AOC's the hottest?
Man, I would love to see a bikini pic of her.
Really?
But yeah, okay, I wouldn't
Is that
complain.
out there? I mean, I'm sure she's got to like. I'm trying to think of anybody.
The internet's
else.
probably got fucking pages dedicated to her feet and shit.
I can't think of anybody else in politics though that, as much as she is just like the most annoying fucking person on earth, yeah, she's got to be like up there hotness wise, which is probably really like that's the thing that you can't say is that like people are only paying attention to her because she's kind of hot.
Yeah,
don't you think?
I mean.
And also, like she is what she is. That she's like this very inflammatory character. People love her, people hate her. But I mean, really, at the end of the day, when you notice like who gets love from the media and who doesn't, so often it lines up perfectly with like who is physically attractive and who isn't.
It's almost like a tale as old as time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's same with like singers or. You know, whatever. It's kind of, especially girl singers, it's like, lo and behold, the ones that are killing it are all kind of hot.
Like, you're from New York, so you don't have like that one.
We're Toronto, dude.
You don't have, you spent a lot of time in New York.
Yeah.
You don't have like that one homie who's got like a good story about fucking AOC back in the day, because that would be so tight if you just knew.
There's got to be people
like
out there.
Like you knew her back in the day and your homie was dating her and you always thought she was kind of annoying, but like, then she just goes and does this.
When she was a waitress.
You know, when she was just a
just
regular
like,
girl.
she sucked off 2 of my boys in the fucking Bronx in 89.
89. She was probably 2 years old.
I know what she is.
But
99.
I get you going for it.
2009. Woo! 2009.
Let's work on this.
Fellas. Yeah. Some dude that was just tearing through those chicks. Yeah, no, I think I'll tell you. You know what? When you were talking about the rub and tugs and just saying like your boy from Queens, my buddy who's a comic told me that fortune tellers, most of those are rub and tugs.
Really?
Isn't that interesting? He swears up and down. He's like a Queens dude.
I would love to test it. Just go in. Be like,
not wild? Yeah.
I'm going to read your future with these cards.
Here you go.
How about you jerk me off instead?
What? Does my future involve me coming?
Well, they're only $10, so that makes sense.
You know what you just made me think of, though? Is like
that's what he says.
At least when it comes to the right-wing world, I think they're more straight up because like it's self-evident in that world that the only women that anybody pays attention to are hot.
They're all like hot.
Megan Kelly's hot. Lauren
chicks.
Southern's kind of hot.
Yeah.
Tanya Loren kind of hot. They all look exactly the same, and they're all kind of proof that
They're a mold.
if you just put like a blonde wig on like JJ, then like a lot of us are gonna think that you're kind of hot, you know?
Well, Ann Coulter for an old bitch was attractive. She's old.
Ann Coulter was hot.
I feel like you're kind of like stretching the limits of like attractive when you throw her
No,
in
but
there.
she's like in
she's
her
old.
50s.
Yeah,
Like,
she's doing all right, dude.
I would come on her. Like, can I say that?
But you're right.
Sure.
They have a
I'd come
look.
on her face.
But are there any busted women in the conservative media world that have like risen to a serious level of prominence?
You're
can't really
right.
think
That'd
of
be
any.
tough to be like. That's a good question.
They got to be out there.
There's gross dudes, that's for sure.
Yeah, the dudes are gross.
I don't think any I'm supposed to have Barry Weiss on soon, so I don't want to disrespect her, but I don't think people are really looking at her like Tommy Loren.
Well, she's a lesbian too, I believe, right?
She is, so she don't want your
She
attention
likes
anyway.
No.
She likes muffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
She had to delay her interview because she was doing IVF,
What's that?
so she could have a baby.
Oh, really?
Isn't that crazy?
So what?
Why
What
is it
do they
crazy?
do? She gets fucked by another guy, or they put
No,
his
they, like,
semen in her.
like Barry
Injected
Weiss.
into her or whatever. No, I like her too, but like it's kind of weird because part of me wants to ask her the most like beginner lesbian question ever, which is like,
Bring Barry Weiss
how
on
do you
and be like,
decide?
yo, so do you fucking...
No, like, how do you decide who's going to carry the baby? And then I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, you're such an asshole if you ask her that, because that's like the most like drunk dude in the
You should
bar in
try
a
it.
Cubs
You should try
jersey
it.
is going to ask you that.
Try it. Open with it.
Maybe I should
That's
start
so
the whole
funny.
interview out just asking her all the worst questions that no lesbian would ever want
I
to be
bet
asked.
you she'd be like,
She
she'd
should just roll with it.
I think so, yeah.
Because as like a hip hop podcaster, maybe she doesn't expect any more from me. And she kind of like. would
I can
expect
ask her.
that.
Can you bring me in, and then
that's-
I'll ask her?
Yeah, I have a special
kick you
guest.
out.
He's gonna be like, so whose hole gets licked first?
Yeah.
Barry, I brought a homosexual along with me.
Yeah.
He's got some questions for you. Myself, I don't care about the answers, but
That's so funny, dude. Just bring him in and be, yeah. So what happens if there's no dick? You just kind of bop around?
that'd be cool if I created like a diverse panel that I could just sort of like appeal to at any time. And
That's
it's-
the move,
It's like
yeah.
an Indian woman in a wheelchair. There's like a trans, I don't know, like 8 foot tall black person.
Excuse me?
And I could just be like, well, guys. People. Yeah.
Put
Yeah.
the
I
trans
had a girl-
person in the wheelchair.
Huh?
Trans person in the wheelchair.
Mix it up, mix and
Yeah.
match. Yes, no, dude. I had a fucking girl on here the other day, and she's half Puerto Rican. I said to her, "How do you feel about Latinx? People being called Latinx?" She became so convinced that I was telling her that she looked trans.
She didn't even know what it was.
She had no idea what it meant, and she was completely
college kid
convinced.
shit.
Like somebody told me that like after the interview that she was out there kind of like panicking and asked one of my employees like, why does Adam think I look trans? Like maybe he's right. Like she's looking in the
I'm a
mirror like
dude.
I look like a guy.
Einhorn Finkel.
Dude, Latinx could be a lot of fucking trouble. I never thought it was gonna land me there. And even in the interview, she's like, "Is that a trans thing?" Like she got really upset. Like, and I'm like trying to explain, like, Latino, Latina, Latin. It was
You have to tell her, like,
it
yo,
was not
it's,
processing.
it's some dorm room white people shit, is what that is.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Because she's from like fucking the Bronx. Like she just has not been introduced to this world. You know, she works in a
Yeah.
strip club, etc. You know?
hot.
Yeah, but it's like
though,
you're
right?
kind of like, what do you think of this? And she's like, I don't think about it. Like
She
it's
had
not
no-
in my
she'd
world.
never heard
You
of
should
it,
tell
no.
her what I really meant is you coming through my studios. I think you should be Latin XXX.
Hey,
title
I
of
should have
a-
used that. Yeah.
You should have been like the title of our new
Latin XOXO.
Yeah, dude. That's so funny though. Just bringing a fucking super political people in. I mean, I guess that's what the
you
funny
in
thing
you
to
in a
do is.
relationship?
Yeah,
For how long?
yeah, like mid-pandemic.
Oh, okay. So have you you haven't had the thing of like you like hit on a girl, maybe you're kind of kicking it, and like it seems good.
Never hit on a girl.
Never hit on
That
a girl.
must be
But then like she figures out that you're like sort of this like offensive
Wow,
comic,
dude.
and she's like pissed and like can't
Yeah.
fuck with you.
No, I've had that forever, but
Really?
I don't find I've found with like this idea that like the girls and dudes kind of have different opinions. So like, you date a chick that's like, she's more like
Dudes are Republicans, girls are Democrats.
I'm not either, but
I know, but it kind of is
a
like
little
that.
bit.
Especially these days, like the Republican brand is like embracing men and doing such a good job
Yes.
of it. That
That's-
it's kind of like as a person who described myself as a Democrat my whole life, I'm kind of like, fuck, they're kind of killing it.
This is kind of what so it's always going to be a little bit more of that. I mean, if you think about even America as a country, Republicans are like the dad. They're like, we got to this. And then I always think of it as like Republicans, the dad, the Democrats, the mom, where it's like, imagine you had kids. The Republicans would be like kind of more focused on the best kid.
Right.
Like being like, we got to get this guy into the best call. And the mom would be more focused on the worst kid.
Yeah.
Where she'd be like, we need to, get this guy into the better school. And she's like, and the dad's kind of like, fuck this kid. This kid's
Yeah.
going all state.
No, yeah. The family has fucking 4 kids, and one of them is just clearly the standout, and then the other one's like the runt of the family. For sure, the mom is coddling
Right?
the run, and the dad is leading the star player
Yeah.
to greatness. Yeah, that's
So
what
that's-
you would expect. That's the stereotype.
So that's kind of what the stereotype is. But no, as far as girls, like the truth is in the reality, there's girls that the same reason why people come to a comedy club, there's people that can get offended, but most people aren't like there to get mad.
Right.
So if a girl shows up like she's looking to have that fight, then she might be kind of I hope you'll say something that I kind of disagree with so I can pretend to get mad, right?
Right.
Because that's part of their identity, that I'm the person that gets mad at stuff.
Right.
But most people, especially girls, I feel like a lot of girls are, they're sort of like attracted to a dude that's a little more, not a pussy.
Right.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And then also, they're also a little more understanding of different perspectives. That's kind of where that whole thing comes from.
Right.
Which is the annoying part sometimes when they're like, oh, I get what they're saying and I get what they're saying. And you're kind of like, well, they both can't be right.
Right.
So one of these is wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that, I think a relationship works probably better a little bit when it's the dude's more masculine and the girl's more feminine in that sense.
Man.
Even in with gays.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to date in Brooklyn in 2021.
I hate to be this dude, but I'm like, dude, some of those chicks that they're like 25, I'm like, give me fucking 3 hours with her. I'll change all her opinions.
I remember I had a girlfriend before my current one. So I'm talking 2016, 2015 or some shit like that. I had this girlfriend and we started arguing about the wage gap, which is just such a 2016 thing
Nice.
to argue about.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she hits Google and she goes, no, the wage gap is very real. And she sends me a link, like the first thing that she finds. And then
Fun date
I start
talk.
reading the article and I'm like, this article is in favor of my argument. You fucking moron. And
she goes, all right, puts on a MAGA hat.
she was this is pre-Trump, but she was so unwilling, or I might fuck the timeline up because I think this was pre-Trump, but like, dude, like she was so unwilling to have this conversation with me. Like I stated my point. She sent me an article that basically reinforced my point. I said, no, you're misunderstanding what that article says. And like her unwillingness to accept that she had been lied to at some point in her life and her unwillingness to try to like actually have a real argument about it, it was like kind of mind blowing for me at that point in my life.
Yeah, it was their identity.
Have you ever been in that thing where you're like with a chick and you're kind of like, I could have sex with this girl or I could argue more?
Oh, man.
And I've definitely, probably 50-50, but I've definitely been in situations where we're like arguing. And I just fucking kind of like to argue, I guess. And then you're just like, it kind of calms down and you're just like ready to fuck. But then you're just like, and another thing.
I am 100%
You're like, all right, that's
the
that.
kind of person who would rather win an argument than
Me
get
too.
laid, for
I'm
sure.
all
I'm thinking
in.
about myself in the bar all through my 20s, like drinking and shit.
I'm
and
that
just fucking
dude.
fully like, oh, you're vegan. Oh, well. Like, I could so easily be like, oh, that's sick. Let's talk about something else. Or like, like easily like, oh, that's interesting. Tell me a little bit about it. Nope. Man, veganism, that shit really went out of style, didn't it?
That was the original, like, social justice.
Yes. Because I was vegan or fucking vegetarian, damn near vegan, like all through high school because I was
Okay.
listening,
Really?
I
You
was
were
listening to
early
the fucking
adapter.
Earth Crisis and all these hardcore bands that fucking brainwashed me. And
Yeah.
like, meanwhile, I'm in like terrible health.
Were you straight edge?
Yes. And then
Not straight edge.
I broke out of it at like 21. I fucking had a few drinks and
you
ate
had a
burger.
fucking steak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, these fucking straight edge guys in Rochester really tricked me into not eating anything good for like 3 fucking years. Like that I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it really made me never want to take a social cause seriously ever again for the rest of my life.
That's why vegans right now, every once in a while, they'll come out with something wild and be like, hey, we don't think the bullpen should be called that because it's offensive. And everyone gets revved up and they're just like, hey, we can be annoying.
That's been Peter,
We are the original
that's
annoying
Peter's
people.
media strategy for like the last
It is.
20 years.
Be
It's like,
annoying.
let's not zero in on things that actually matter. Let's just find the most annoying thing and make a big deal about it and make everybody quote tweet it on Twitter and say, can you fucking believe that they're serious about this shit?
It's that, yeah. That's their whole deal. It's the other way I used to always, I was thinking about doing this sketch that like how you could legitimately make like a Republican boomer just lose his mind. And if you're kids and you're like, we need dad to die because we wanted to get this will. And you just go up and you show up and we're both like, yeah, we're all non-binary. I just took a shit on the flag. The dad's like, flipping out. Hey, what's up, Chad? Do you want to pass the peas? Like, I'm actually Samantha now. As of this dinner, and the dad's just having a fucking
Troops suck.
Yeah, he goes, oh, yeah. I actually I stole money from the troops and gave it to refugees. How do you like that? You just fucking bam.
Maybe we could fit a refugee into this whole storyline. This podcast having no refugees is honestly really kind of fucked up.
No, yeah, that is
Need
kind
it.
of messy. Well, you got some immigrants.
Yeah.
No, me.
he
We're
left.
immigrants.
Okay,
We're immigrants.
I was gonna point at like my Russian editor and be
Yeah.
like, immigrant.
Hey, that's
I know.
immigrants.
No one wants to give me my props. You wouldn't understand my struggles as an immigrant.
She's
But
from South Central. Does that count?
there you go. I will say, yeah, we don't get our props from being Canadian immigrants, but yeah, we escaped the communist hellhole
Yeah.
of Canada.
Tyranny.
Isn't that crazy when you think about America and you just have like the nicest country you could imagine above us and then like the most hellish country ever below us, where like they basically do all our dirty work. Like we allow these gangs to just like run it so that we can
Yeah.
get cheap cocaine and like whatever ketamine, whatever else we need out of there. I don't know.
Just, and then right above, they're like maple syrup.
Yeah.
No, they just copy America. Like even when things were getting wild under Trump, it was like
Yeah.
everyone was copying that. It was like all the white people are like, we're racist too. Like they
Yeah.
try to copy all the
Imagine
American
you
stuff.
could just see like deaths per, like murders per year for those 3 different countries. I don't know exactly what it would be, but it would probably be like a very, very
Oh,
sad
it was
state
huge
of
jumps.
affairs.
Huge jumps.
It's got to be like 4 in Canada, 5,000 in America, 50,000
Nah,
in Mexico.
there's some bad areas, and like even Winnipeg, there's tons of murders. Like
Yeah.
Toronto's like not that different from New York, and there's some bad areas.
Toronto, you ever look into like the Toronto rapper scene of them all killing each other?
Yeah, dude, I'm
Oh,
fucking from there.
Oh, there was when we
Dude,
were
I used to
doing a
make rap.
show.
I used to be in a band. I used to like actually direct like some rap videos and shit in Canada.
Really?
Yeah.
We were doing a show one Monday night, and down the street at the Rivoli, someone was shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago.
Dude, you wouldn't last a minute in that hood, dude. Toronto?
Really?
Nah. But the
You're probably right. Though. I would garner a little too much attention.
dude,
out
I'm
there,
doing
yeah.
just what every Toronto dude does ever, where everyone goes like, "Oh, that's like a soft country," and I'm like,
No,
"Actually, it's
no, no.
fucking murder central."
Actually, there's a bunch of dudes and gangs that I have nothing to do with that kill each other on the other side of town. It's crazy.
But like everyone low key takes pride that like where they came from is like actually kind of hard.
Hell yeah. You're from a place with no murders? I mean, like, all right, that's
Yeah,
cool, I
that's
guess.
cool,
I'm not
Mr.
really trying to talk about it or anything.
Mr.
but-
Portland.
Yeah. I'm from a really shitty place called Nashua, New Hampshire that
Nice.
unfortunately somehow like paid some magazine to like vote them like the best place to live in America 2 times in the 80s, like 89 and 96 or some shit like that. So I've like had people kind of try to use that against me, but I'm like, well, currently we have one of the highest overdose rates for fentanyl in America.
Oh, fentanyl.
So
There you go.
maybe give us some credit for that.
Opioids too.
All that shit. All good shit. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's why. That's my other line of business is I mail opiates to New Hampshire to satisfy all the people I went to high school with.
Yeah, dude, I grew up in a drug den.
Yeah, that's really where all the money's coming from these days. I would love to talk to you guys all day, but I gotta wrap this up.
Yeah, man, super fun. Thanks for having us.
No,
dude.
yeah, good
You know
times.
what? I want to give you a compliment that I heard you say this that like got in my head is such a good like point. You go, if you're not running a team, you're just a guy hustling, or some version of that. And I was in the moment, like I have a couple employees right now, and a lot of it is you're just like, fuck, it takes so much time to build the team that it's always taking. So it's this tug and pull, but you put it in a good way where you're just like, yeah, that's the thing. You have to do all those things, even if it does make you worse for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
But I think I was like in the middle of like having that mental turmoil, and I heard you say that, and I thought it was like a really good way to put it. You're like,
That's good.
You're right. I'm
I
just a
appreciate
fucking
that.
guy grinding, and you don't ever give your brain space to properly think big picture when you're on the hamster wheel always. So
I appreciate that.
yeah.
I don't know if anyone else pointed out that was a good observation, but I appreciate that because I felt like it was a good
Oh, really?
observation. And I don't know if anybody else said anything, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's funny. There's on the same topic. There's this guy Kurt Metzger. He's like, we've been hanging out a lot, and he's like super funny comic. He makes all these funny videos. You probably love him.
Okay.
But he'll say these things like that, and I'll come up and I'll be like, remember you put this best. Like even when we're talking about jobs, like and people being sensitive, like that kind of thing. He goes, basically every job's a corporate job now. Like he kind of put, and then I'll be like, dude, you put it best, and he goes, I said that.
Well, that was like with
That's
you.
not a thing you say.
That's like with you when I brought up the Ziploc bag of fucking cum or whatever. Yeah.
I guess I'm loopy, dude. Yeah. But yeah, no, you have a good observation. But that really did get in my head, and I was like, fuck, I'm being a pussy. You got to put the time in and build a team if you want to do something great right now.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. appreciate you guys. You want? You got anything
dude,
you want to promote?
I think my LA shows are done and they're sold out, so you can't come anyway. But you know what? I am actually going back to Canada. I'm doing Toronto December 16th. There's a few tickets, 17 sold out. But I do a podcast called The Boys Cast with Ryan Long that comes out every Friday. Patreon.com/The Boys Cast. New video every Monday at Ryan Long Comedy on YouTube, Instagram, everything. And then I do a street video every Wednesday, so it's all at Ryan Long Comedy.
Right. Hell yeah. I just got a fucking disastrous text from somebody. Sorry, I look a little bit distracted. But
Really?
Yeah, no, I just got to fucking clean up this mess.
Just the fleshlight content that I'm doing and hopefully doing more just on my Instagram, JJ Liberman Comedy.
Hell yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. Great talking to you guys. No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Check these guys both out on their shit. Like, comment, and subscribe. NoJumper.com if you want to support. Appreciate y'all.